Yeah, everyone, this is Thermites, and this is the Weekly Updates. As always, very first link down below is Weekly Shonen Jump. Please check it out. I mean, just fantastic week. Undead Unluck got its anime announcement. I talk a little bit about, how the air was kind of let out of that because of the rumblings about there being an anime already. Like it's a lot harder for a big announcement to be impactful if you already know what's going to be announced. Or, if it's been said so vaguely for a while that by the time the announcement happens, it's like, well, wasn't that already announced? But that doesn't take away from the impact of this chapter, and I love it, I love it, I love it. I can't wait to get into the next arc. Speaking of the next arc, One Piece, we're finally out of Wano. We're in the, what I presume is going to be the post-Wano arc, unless we, directly from here jump into something else. But, it feels like we're going to do some transition stuff. And, I'm not a big fan of, connective tissue a lot of times, but this chapter was so good. So genuinely good. It is stuff, it felt like reading a fanfic in the best way possible. In the sense that, it's the kind of stuff I want from One Piece that we just haven't really gotten that much of. Oh my gosh. Apart from that, me and Roboco, wild chapter this week. All I'll say about that is that it was wild. Akane-banashi, great. Really loving that we're finally getting to the climax of this arc, which is not a, it is explosive, but not in a, big Roboco sense. We've already done the Roboco, now we're beyond that, but it's still extremely emotionally impactful. I mean, Black Clover still zipping along faster than anything else in Jump. No chill, zero chill. This week has been so good. I mean, even a chapter that I think is pretty weird, the My Hero chapter, you know what? I'm going to just, I have nothing else to really say about what's going on this week, apart from, I didn't do a Chainsaw Man stream this week because of real world stuff came up. I will do a Chainsaw Man stream next week, and I might do a, pre-recorded Dandadan thing just to, so I'm not, losing time on catching up. I don't want to lag too far behind. I do want to catch up, not insanely quickly, but, sometime. And so taking weeks off on that is actually pretty detrimental. But yeah, that's all the information you need. I need to say something about My Hero now, so if you're not caught up with this week's My Hero chapter, please leave now. Okay, so Kasai Kohai introduced me to the back you go theory. I've been on the Boku no Hero Academia subreddits. Always a bad idea, but do I still have the search thing up here? I've been looking around. I've been trying to figure out what people mean when they say the back you go theory, because if you listen to the reaction itself, I do clearly misinterpret what Kasai says. I do take it as, wait, is his name just pronounced back you go? It was only afterwards I realized, oh, no. You mean that the concept of Bakugo going backwards in time is not just a thing that's been brought up very recently. It's been around for 2 years. It's as old as Cockpiece. I mean, it's as old as, the modern resurgence of Cockpiece. Because, of course, I've also talked about Cockpiece to other people, and I've realized that the Luffy and Ace edit is extremely old. I just didn't see it for the longest time. But anyways, so I understand what the general concept of the Bakugo theory is. The idea that the one I've seen the most popularity for is the idea that Eri somehow sends him backwards in time, which is insane. It sounds like the theory that I hate the most about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4, but even less founded, because the Part 4 theory, I think it doesn't make any sense. I think it's something that, people are really stretching for. They're really, using future information to try and, talk about what they think the mangaka is trying to do. But fundamentally, I can understand how you would get there. I understand the logic. I don't understand the logic of, what if Eri rewinds Bakugo, not in terms of making him younger, not in terms of turning him to a fetus, not even the one statement we got from a single Hasakai dude of she could turn you into a monkey, but instead somehow she sends Bakugo backwards in time 100 years, and then we do an arc where he is, helping the first user of All for One, of One for All, and then he becomes the second. That's really not what I thought people were. I thought at the very craziest it was just Bakugo's going to get reversed. Anyways, while I was going through that, let me squish this over a little bit. I found this list in which someone was like compiling all the best and worst theories of how to fix Bakugo after, he was nearly killed. And this one I find extremely notable for, let me just resize this a little bit. Having a lot of theories that people brought up on, in the chat. Obviously, you guys are more plugged into the community than I am, so I do love it when, people say stuff that is clear, like, hey, this is either my personal theory, or it's a theory I vibe with the most, or just people have been talking about this. Yeah, it really helps me from, go from being deprived of, fan interaction to then understanding, okay, this is, now I'm on the pulse of what people were talking about. So, but yeah, just seeing all the ideas here of maybe Genius will stitch Bakugo's heart fibers back together, or the nitroglycerin in Bakugo will reverse heart failure, which is that's not how you use nitroglycerin to stop heart failure. It doesn't work if your heart exploded, but I can understand the general idea of it. And then the stuff of the second can heal, or the second can time travel, which could also be connected to the Bakugo theory. But yeah, I love that. These are all the plausible ones, and then these are the mid ones that probably won't work, in which the Bakugo theory is the number one in the mid section. And then we go all the way down to the worst theories. We get to Headshot will turn small and become a human pacemaker running around inside Bakugo's hearts. Which is not what happens, but it's surprisingly close. Oh, boy. This chapter. This is truly, one of the chapters of My Hero. In the same way as, there are certain Naruto chapters, or certain Bleach chapters, where you read them and you go, people are going to be talking about this 10 years later. When people are talking about things they don't like in the series, or things that were crazy, or they're doing the, unpopular opinion, but I think this was actually pretty good, or this made sense. You can just tell sometimes when something is so controversial that even if we do get justification later on, it's still going to stick in everyone's hearts and minds forever. This was definitely one of those chapters. I like it thematically, but I also fully vibe with anyone who is saying this is insane, because it is insane. Oh boy. Anyways, that's more into a single chapter than I usually get, and I don't think I've said anything different than what I said in the reaction itself, but I really feel, I don't know, it really, really came to mind. I was like, yeah, I gotta talk about this. Out of all of these, I mean, I do agree with, I think it was Gumu Gumu Fun, who just, brought the Genius thing, because Genius and Bakugo do have a history. That would make a lot of sense. But for any of the other ones here that could possibly work, Eri doesn't make any sense. Where the fuck would Eri come from? All for One was able to use Eri's ability, but that was a very specific situation. They don't just have vials of her reversey juice. Out of all of these, I mean, the one I kept on saying was Bakugo really is going to die here, but he's going to zoop into Deku via the connection made between them using One for All during the second movie. I don't know if any of these are actually here. There was this one that also mentioned the second movie. That was about the boy. But yeah, I don't think any of those say specifically what it is. But out of any of these, the one I would go for that wasn't the best Genius theory would probably, Well, actually, I think in the chapter itself, I was like, yeah, maybe Tamaki's just going to make a new heart. Even then, I don't think it would have to be eating a part of Bakugo, but I could see that. That actually would make sense as a, Bakugo is now missing a foot or missing a hand. Knowing Horikoshi, probably missing a hand. But the benefit of that is, but he was able to survive this unsurvivable situation, and this is, a heart that was created from someone extremely important, and also, I did imagine Tamaki would have to, turn his hand into a heart and then cut it off, so it would be a double sacrifice of sorts. Anyways, that's yeah, I'm getting off track. That is the weekly updates, also the specifically My Hero updates. Again, if you hadn't caught up with My Hero, you shouldn't have listened to this. Why did you listen to this? Thank you guys so much for checking this out. See you next week for another weekly Shonen Jump, and then finally the Chainsaw Man stream, and maybe some other stuff, but who knows? Those are the two I can actually say I'm trying to commit to. The second one, even not so much, judging by this week, but, you know, gonna try. Thank you guys so much for putting up with this. Bye for now. Yeah.